Day 1, 2020. You know, it's a ghost town. Like, my area's a ghost town, here's a ghost town, everywhere, ghost town, here's a ghost town. Generally, I'm the guy that's still out, you know. I'm the guy that's either, you know, found sleeping on some park bench somewhere, or I'm locked up in the drunk tank, or whatever it might be. But hey, it's the first day of 2020, and I didn't go out. I was supposed to go to this party, and we all throw in a bunch of money, and we all buy all the stuff we need. And I didn't go. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns here, and go with this New Year's resolution. And so I went to actually text a few people about a little bit of translation for some kanji, and it's just ghost town. So everyone's all just like, they're all still just laying on park benches or whatever they're doing. And I'm usually the notorious one for doing so. But no, I figure, you know what, I'm gonna have a real good go at this year. Now, what we have here is something wonderful. Alright, we have a beautiful, this is the secondary bell of a Buddhist temple. So it's a Japanese temple bell, bronze Buddhist. And this particular type of bell, size of bell should I say, would have been closest to the sliding door. I tell you, this morning, it was just, you could make a zombie movie. You really could. Like, there's just nobody. Like, here, wherever's, they had the crows were here. Like, oh, look at that, you can see the moon already. It's like 1 in the afternoon. What's going on here? Can't zoom this thing. There's a little bit of a crescent there. So yeah, I'm like, wow, you know. So I better check that fireplace, move some of that wood, and it looks like some of that stuff's actually, we might have had I better have a look at that very soon. Right, carpenter's over there, he does his thing, so, half of that wood pile there's all charcoaled and blackened, so clearly that fire had a bit of an extension, and that could have been everything. That wouldn't be too good. Okay, now let's see. This particular bell, a very interesting bell indeed, because we've got some information on this, and you'll find, oh, I'm going to include this. This, no cracks, beautiful, awesome sound. This is new. In fact, I had a bit of a tag on it from where I located it, and we'll get on to that. Now, I have to have a bit of distance with this camera. It's quiet on New Year's Day. Who would have thought? It's this guy, you know, is didn't go out, didn't drink, started this New Year's resolution like a week ago or something. Ridiculous. Here we go. Now I have to have distance for this because the sound, the mic on this camera, I think some of you guys already know, it goes wonky. It's beautiful. I'm using the chamfer there. Beautiful. This sort of bell, it's got a nice, deep, awesome sound with excellent resonance, reverberation going on there. Wow. Yeah, this is good. This is very, very good. And the other side, the other striking point, a bit of distance. Oh my. Still hear it. Wow. So that's all you need, very light strikes. Just touched it. Beautiful. Now this particular bell, stay. Now there is some kanji. I'll get to that bit in a minute. Right here. Okay, and yesterday, in the afternoon. I text a friend and I can understand that, but I can't understand that. And I can understand that one. Third one down means machi, town. Now let's show sanju nen. Sanju ichi, sorry. 1, 2, 3, and an extra one. Showa sanju ichi nen sangatsu, which means the third month, so March of, now let's see, I'll add this up, 1956, so March of 1956. Now right here we have, got my, I tried to text a friend, can't get hold of anyone, they're all just laying around in some park somewhere or whatever, sprawled out everywhere. Let's have a look what we have here. Right, this says, where'd it go? Here, right there, says, let's see, Minami no Machi. See, Machi means town, as I was saying, so that there, that third kanji down, that little box thing there, that means town, Machi. Let's see, Minami no Machi Daikyu Bundan. Now, from what we can gather from this, some small towns, Minami meaning southern area, and the southern, hold on a second, the southern number 9 squad. Okay, now, so what we understand from this, some bells, some fire stations, back in the day, they'd have a rudimentary, ugly looking sort of contraption, a bell, but just some rudimentary thing, nothing like this, and just to aid sound, to warn the townspeople of a fire. So what we know from this is that some small towns, they would utilize the secondary bell as the warning bell for the town. So from what we know of this being, it's a Buddhist bell by design and by its sound, and also we know that see, in some small towns you might have just this box sort of building with a red light on it, and that's where they keep their equipment for fighting fires. Now what we know with this bell, it's gone through the change of the bell ceremony due to all the could be paint flecks or urushi lacquer. Now it's very old, as you can see, so it's gone through, and quite a considerable amount too. I would say that that's more from what you'll find in here. It's color discoloration over the years. That's what that would be, and that there is patina, bronze patina. Now I guess if you wanted to keep this outside for a long time, see, that's just discoloration, which you could clean it off, but I wouldn't do so because it would sort of look unbalanced, I guess. Not unbalanced, might be clean on this side and not so much on the other. Don't even know how I'm going to say it. Yeah, it might sort of, I would suggest leaving it as it is, or you could leave it out in the weather, and after a certain whatever period of time it would be, but eventually it would all be patinaed like so, like that. Often in really old bells you might get like cracking lines in here or something. There's no cracks in this. You can see, let's see, casting lines like that. There's a casting line, and that's all that is. They're just casting like this, for instance. That's where they break off at the casting when they try to put this striker under my armpit there. So that's where they break it off in the casting. And there's the dragons. So you'll find that this bell went through the change of the bell ceremony is when a new head monk takes over as a new monk takes over as the head monk of the temple. And now this particular bell is obviously it's come from a small town, as it says southern, so I'd say maybe there's a main town district, and this comes from a small town in a particular district. I've seen that sort of thing before, so this is definitely has been utilised as the warning bell of the town, and I would presume that anyone can warn the townspeople. So it's definitely, it must have been quite the ritual, because it's got a lot. It's really old. You can see it's really old, the flecks and all that sort of stuff. Now, what I discovered this very day, which I didn't even know, it's actually got a name here. Now, it's either, I don't know what it says, and I find it very difficult on my phone to try and capture it, even like now in this camera, try to capture a decent enough picture so I can send that along to someone. If you do decide that this is yours, and you can get me a decent picture of that, I can get that name. I should be able to get that name in 5 minutes. But New Year's Day, and everyone's like, they're all zombies. It's usually me that's the zombie, the notorious I. You'll find that I call these nodes, I don't know what else to call them. You'll find that they're all in perfect condition. Oh, yes, so that's where that card is. So this here is, in some cases, it would be either the maker's name, that in whom commissioned the bell, or the monk himself, the head monk. Now, I would discount it in this case being the maker, because often it would have a script made by. I would discount it being that in whom commissioned the bell, or sometimes it's gifted. Sometimes it says gift to, whether it be gift to the temple itself or gift to the new head monk. So I believe that would be the head monk's name. That's just coming from experience. And so in March of 56, there was the change of the bell ceremony. This would have been the leaving monk, and a new bell would have been commissioned would have come in on that day or thereabouts. Now you'll find with this is a beautiful piece, because it's just wow. I've seen this before actually, that Buddhist bell has had script on it, and not just distinctly for a warning, a fire bell, but rather this is definitely being utilised, as you can tell. It's very, very old stuff, as both. So that tells us that, because we've seen this before on a number of occasions, that come from a very small town. But that's definitely experience there. Now, you'll find that it has very little wear on the striking points. Very little indeed. Considering this bell, it's 2020, day 1 of 2020, Stargate 2020. You'll find that being, 64 years of age, one would expect that it have at least a fair amount of wear, and sometimes they'll walk out and just strike and not even sort of get it right dead center, if they're doing it every day, and sometimes you'll get wear around. I've even seen marks all over the show. but very little wear. So I presume they use a very light striker, such as this one, which is all, obviously, all you need. I've never struck this bell hard and never felt the need to. I mean, look at all this discoloration, it's just everywhere. I think this would be wonderful to leave out in the weather. That's what I would do. Leave it out in the weather for 10 years, and maybe donate it to someone, and get that patina going right there. In fact, I've seen a bell. It must have been like 1,000 years old, and it had all kinds of pitting in there, from being out and being so weathered. But generally, a bell like this, it's left of the sliding door, the temple, and it's under the eaves. And sometimes they'd have an iron, a wooden beam and an iron hook in general for something like this. I just really like this bell. So yeah, it's really something. It's one of those dual purpose pieces that the people of the town use this as their warning for what may very well be. Let's go and have a look at that. Wow. I could sea freight this, which would make it considerably cheaper. 6 weeks to 3 months it would take. I could sell economy air it. I could even EMS it to some richy people. But I would suggest waiting for it and sea freighting. Yeah. But it just, my camera's gonna